From America's farm to fork capital and some of the richest farmland in the world. What's in Season with Michael Marks.
Well, thanks so much for joining us once again. This is our April version of What's in Season with Michael Marks. I am your host, Michael Marks, your produce man, and we're going to take a walk down the produce aisle, and we're going to gather some produce, and you are going to learn so much in 30 minutes than most people learn in a lifetime. So thank you so much for joining us. You know, April is the time where we start thinking about summertime, we start thinking about salads. You know, the soup pot goes away, the stew pot goes away, we get our big salad bowl out, we start thinking about salads. So salads, of course, begins with lettuce, lots of different lettuces. We're going to start here with iceberg lettuce. We call this head lettuce because it looks like somebody's head, right? So we call it head lettuce, but it's iceberg lettuce because back in the early 1900s, they would harvest this in Salinas, California, and they would load them into railroad cars, and on those railroad cars, they would put shaved ice all over those heads of iceberg head lettuce. And then those railroad cars would go to Boston and Philadelphia and New York, and by the time they got to New York, to Hunts Point, New York, they would open up, the produce guys open up the doors, and it looked like literally hundreds of little tiny icebergs in there, and that's where we get the name iceberg lettuce. Now I wanted to show you something with iceberg lettuce. When you're picking out iceberg lettuce, I always turn it right over and look at where they cut it. It needs to be right in the very center of the head. Sometimes it's off to the side. That's iceberg lettuce that's been stressed out in the fields. It's not going to have a very sweet flavor. So when it's right in the very middle, that's a perfectly grown iceberg lettuce, perfectly grown. Now of course romaine lettuce has become very, very popular. Of course, Caesar salads have become super popular. In fact, this is usually in many markets the #1 lettuce. So many other lettuces here. Look at all these little baby lettuces. They are so blame cute. This little butterleaf lettuce, a little red leaf lettuce, a little gem lettuce, which is actually a cross between a butter and a romaine, a red gem, absolutely gorgeous. And then we've started seeing in the past few years is live butterleaf lettuce, which is so cool. And I wanted to show you something. Why do they call it butterleaf lettuce? Well, I'm going to take this out and I'm just going to cut this in half for you, right down the middle, and show you why they call this butterleaf lettuce. Because right in the very center, what's it look like? Yeah, it looks like butter in the very center. That's why it's called butterleaf lettuce. Aren't we brilliant in the produce industry? Oh my goodness. Another thing that's become very, very popular is, of course, this spring mix. Now, spring mix started actually in Italy. And it's very interesting, back in the 15th century it actually began. They called it mescaline mix in Italy. And it actually began in the monasteries, and the monks would pick 12 bitter herbs and lettuces. 12 bitter herbs and lettuce. Do you know why they picked 12? Yeah, it represented the 12 apostles of Christ, right? So that's where they got the name mescaline mix. And today, there's all kinds of greens in this. Now, when you buy this, whether it's in a small package or a big package like this, the first thing I want you to do when you open it up, sniff it. If it smells any hint of ammonia in there at all, any hint of ammonia, then you need to take that back to the store. Take that back to the market. Any hint of ammonia means there's decay in there. It needs to smell super, super fresh. So spring mix, so popular. But I also wanted to show you something. I know what's become very, very popular is the bagged lettuce, right? So I'm just going to take the heart out of this lettuce, and then we're going to cut this lettuce. And I want to show you something. You can spend $3.99 for a little 6 ounces of lettuce. Now, each head of lettuce is roughly 16 ounces, so 1 pound. So let me show you what you're going to get for, you know, a couple dollars. You're going to get a whole bunch of lettuce in this bowl. Not just little 6 ounce, not 4.8 ounces, but look at all of this lettuce in there, out of one head of lettuce. And that took me, what, an hour to cut that up? Oh my goodness. And you don't need to have an engineering degree either to cut it up. I did want to also show you how to properly cut your romaine lettuce. There's a couple things I want you to do. Take your knife, take the tip of your knife, start at the cut end, and just cut it right down the very center, and then turn it, and then cut it one more time, right down the center, just like that. And now you can go back and you can cut that lettuce in a nice ½ inch or inch pieces, just like so, just like that. Oh my goodness. And then finally, ladies and gentlemen, I need to teach you how in the world do you store your lettuce. Here's what I want you to do. Take your leaf lettuce. In fact, I want you to do this at the store. Take that little band off. Do you see how that red leaf lettuce is standing up at attention like it's a good soldier? That is fresh red leaf lettuce. That's exactly what you're looking for. If it's all wilty and stuff, put it down. So what you're going to do, you're going to find the very center of this lettuce and you're going to tear off the leaves, just like so. You could cut them, but if you could see the leaf underneath a microscope, let me tell you, it looks exactly like a sponge. So if you cut through the sponge, guess what happens with all the water? The water leaches out, right? But as you tear the leaf, then it breaks around the natural cell structure of that leaf. Now you're going to put this in water. You're going to rinse it in water. Please don't soak it. Remember, this is a sponge. Don't soak it in ice cold water. Rinse it in ice cold water. And then bring it out and then put it into, you're going to pat dry it, and then you're going to put it into a baggie just like so. And I guarantee you, this lettuce is going to last up to 21 days in your refrigerator, just like so.